Get ready for an electrifying night of classical music as the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra presents Schumann in Spring. Guest pianist Ying Li brings power and elegance to Schumann's Piano Concerto in A minor. The night closes with Beethoven's Symphony No. 4, often dubbed the cheerful sibling to his more dramatic symphonies. Join the WCO on Friday, April 17th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are available at wcoconcerts.org/spring. Earth Day is coming up, so there's no better time to shop at St. Vinny's for quality clothing, furniture, and home goods. April is Earth Month, and thrifting is both cheaper and eco-friendly. Good for the planet, good for your wallet. Plus, when you shop at St. Vinny's, you support local. All dollars spent at St. Vinny's stays in Dane County. Proceeds go to local food pantries, pharmacies, microloans, housing support, and more. Follow at Vinny's Dane County on Facebook and Instagram to be notified about special events coming up or to see the latest finds in store. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, it's the Friday News Roundup, and we're talking about these insane storms this week, the UW athletic director announcing his leave, and Olbrich looking to expand its gardens, plus a brand new members-only segment. We're getting into a terrifying workplace poisoning attack at a UW-Madison science lab. That one's for our neighbors. Joining me this morning is our newsletter editor, Rob Thomas. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Bianca.
What a week. And our
a week.
And our producer, Jade Isiri Ramos. We made it.
Hey, Bianca. I'm so happy to be here on the show during the membership drive.
Yes, honestly, this is the moment. It is the moment to be thinking about our neighborhood and our neighbors. And frankly, it's an exciting time at CityCast Madison. We are in our first membership drive of the year. And so far, about 10 of you have joined our Neighbors program, and we are so happy to have you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. One thing that's been fun this time around is we've been debuting our new bonus segments on the podcast. So that's 10 more people who get the chance to hear our the inside scoop from us.
Yeah, our spicy takes. I'm really excited and scared to talk about today's story.
I was prepping today's story, and it is wild. It's like one of those, like, this feels like it happened on a TV show, not here in Madison sort of situations.
Yeah, well, this bonus segment that we're kicking off is for the CityCast neighbors who want to really dig in and get into the nitty-gritty of this city. And that is something we know y'all want. And also you want our authenticity and experiences of, like, what the heck is going on? We'll be giving hot takes. There'll be bizarre stories, the things that are like, we want to talk about that.
Sort of our, like, unbuttoned takes on things. You know, we're professional, but we're taking one button off of our polo.
Right. We trust you. We trust members to hear these takes, right? Yeah. These aren't for the general pop.
Yeah, and one of the other perks specifically of this membership drive is getting a wool pennant, so one of those flags. So in terms of unbutton, you can wave that flag around your head. It's got CityCast Madison insignia. It is wool, and yeah, we're pretty excited about it. We posted on our Instagram for what it looks like, but that is one of the perks if you sign up today, sign up during this membership drive. And also some other perks, you know, getting neighbors-only events, ad-free listening, and an event newsletter every week. To sign up to become a neighbor, it's only $10 a month or $100 a year. Go to membership.citycast.fm/Madison to sign up today. And I have to say, we got to bring it back to this bonus segment because a familiar name came through our alert channel for membership. Jade's mom came in, and Jade, you told us why your mom joined, and I hope that you're willing to share that story because I'm still living for it.
Yeah, so first off, I did not know my mom was signing up to become a neighbor until I saw it, I got a notification on our work Slack about it. But then I checked my text messages, and she said she can't miss an opportunity to hear something brilliant that her daughter said on the podcast. So you know what? If my mom's looking for those hot takes, maybe you're looking for the hot takes like my mom is. But shout out to Kisa, my mom, who is now supporting the podcast. She's a daily listener and now a monthly supporter.
I wonder if my mom's a member. I might need to put some pressure on there. Jade's mom is a member, so
Yeah, the way I feel vicarious pride and joy hearing that, Jade, I seriously like that is a statement of love, but also of truth. Like I personally don't want to miss anything brilliant that Jade has to say about
Oh.
living in Madison and the things that are happening. So I'm like, that is the best push for this new Neighbors segment if I've ever heard it myself. And your mom wasn't the only person that left us messages, right, Jade?
Yeah, Susan P is one of our newest members, and she said that the reason that she joined is, quote, because I listen to the podcast frequently and have recommended it to many friends. I especially value the local news roundup on Fridays. So should we get to the roundup?
That's where we are. We should get to the roundup. But if you're not a neighbor out there and you want to join, go to membership.citycast.fm/Madison. Sign up today. And yeah, let's carry on with this roundup. I have the first story, which is by no surprise, the Nightman cometh this week with dangerous, severe storm systems. My goodness, we got hammered, y'all, by 2 rounds of severe thunderstorms, raining hail and major winds, approaching forming tornado territory, even here in Madison. We had multiple tornado warnings starting Monday night into Tuesday, and again Tuesday late afternoon into Wednesday, plus more rainstorms throughout the week. Oh my gosh, Milwaukee, the flooding that we're seeing there is very intense. But keeping it to Madison, the heavy rains, high winds, and hail exceeding the size of baseballs caused damage across the region. Haley posted that photo on our Instagram of the size. I mean, I didn't see that large because of just where I'm at, but you guys saw the photos of the hail itself.
Oh, yeah, huge, like almost filling Haley's palm.
Yeah, and also, if you should follow us on Instagram because people commented not only the size of the hail, but Haley's incredible nail game. It's definitely worth a follow just to see that.
Yes, the nail art was part of the hook, and it hook, line, and sinker. People are like, drop the name, drop the name of your nail tech. But seriously, she was the first one who told us outside of her window, a Prius, that multiple Prius's windows were just completely broken through. There's damage across the region to homes, vehicles, neighborhoods, trees are down, power lines were brought down. And whether or not Madison, in fact, had a tornado at any point is still under investigation by the National Weather Service. Get into that a bit more in a moment, but hopefully everyone is safe, and it seems like just property damage at this point for the most part. Cleanup is underway. I want to hear from you two. How did you fare this week?
Well, Bianca, the first tornado warning I slept through, which is not really a great sign. I think I need to invest in an in-house alarm because I sleep with a white noise machine, and so like the outdoor sirens I couldn't hear. You had a conversation last year about being prepared for severe weather, and it was mentioned in that conversation getting an in-house one, and I think that that is something for me to invest in. But the second tornado warning, I was finishing up the mix of that day's podcast, and my husband's like, we have to go downstairs. I was like, well, let me just it's almost, I'm almost done. Let me just, and he's like, the tornado warning is now. It's not waiting for the podcast. So I was a little bit bratty about it, but at the end of the day, I am, better safe than sorry. Glad I went down to into my basement to wait out the warning.
There was this is such a weird vibe, but there was a moment for me where I was grateful kind of that I had to finish the work. I'm like, no, because there's been so much just sitting through the uncertainty of, is this severe? Like, do you have to go down right now? And I'm like, I'm working. I can hear it. I can see it, but I am working right now. Rob, how about you?
I feel a little guilty. I'm down here in Fitchburg, and we definitely missed the worst of it. I did not hear any sirens. We did not get any of that hail, any of that nasty hail. I remember Monday night, Bill and I woke up and the wind was just screaming outside. Like it was as loud as I've ever heard it. And I just closed the windows, which is retrospect, probably not the smartest thing to do. Probably should have checked a little bit to see if we need to go in the basement. But I was a little bleary at the moment. But yeah, the sky was Tuesday night was like a weird, very sickly green. Like and green, I guess, is very bad. But we got off not scot-free, but pretty close to it.
Whew, yeah, it was a doozy. And honestly, the right move, shutting the windows. You should not open the windows during a storm. I saw memes of folks where it's like, don't be by the windows. And then they're by the windows, which is 100% me. I think there are so many times when you have a tornado warning and people think, oh, Madison, it doesn't really happen here. It hasn't happened in a long time. But it really only takes one.
It only takes one.
So it only takes one. And so... yeah, I definitely, on Monday night, I think maybe ahead of most, was down in my basement. I did hear the alarm and the wind. It went from quiet to all of a sudden, like I felt the pressure hit the windows. I'm like, I think this is serious. And so I went downstairs, and the second storm, it's just like, we know this is really serious. This is national news. I have people who don't even live in Wisconsin messaging me to be safe. And it definitely got pretty scary there. We do know that, as we talked about, hail broke a lot of car windows, tons of photos of the size of the hail. WKOW reported the Dane County Regional Airport had hundreds of parked cars damaged in their lot. So even people who are not here were having folks go out, check my car. Yep, your car is open to the elements, which is a huge bummer. The Wisconsin State Journal reported about 2 businesses here in Madison on the Beltline that had parts of their roofs ripped off on early Tuesday a.m. with lots of damage inside. That was the owner of Rubens Furniture. He owns the 2 businesses in addition to Rubens Furniture where the roofs got ripped up. Office Furniture used anew and Kitchen Crest Cabinets, Wisconsin. They told the Journal that there's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage from the photos. There's clearly insulation everywhere and roofing down. You saw that, Jade?
Yeah, I sent that to you as we were preparing for this show because I was like, man, I didn't think it was a big deal. And here we go. A roof ripped off and insulation everywhere. It's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. And interesting in that story, to quote, Reuben called it a tornado that hit their businesses. But the Journal then cited J.J. Wood, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service's Milwaukee and Sullivan office, who says it still needs to be investigated. I did see that there were 60-mile-per-hour winds here, or at least it could be up to that in Madison. So it's interesting.
Are we supposed to say alleged tornado at this point?
Alleged tornado. Alleged tornado. A quote from that meteorologist, J.J. Wood, says, we did have that line of pretty strong winds come through overnight Monday night, so that produced a lot of straight line wind damage, and added that the swath of damage went from part of the Arboretum near the Beltline and ended by Stoughton Road just south of the Beltline. I think everyone was trying to determine, like, has a tornado hit? Is it going to hit? Folks posting videos of things that look like tornadoes were about to form. A Dane County church in East Bristol did have a part of its roof ripped off. So multiple tornadoes did touch down in the state of Wisconsin from a range of powers. Just the most dramatic one was in Juneau County Tuesday night at 140 miles per hour. So I don't know how you guys react to tornadoes and the tornado sirens, but it feels like we're safe until we're not. And this was a more severe storm front than I think I've experienced in some time.
Yeah, thankfully I was also at home and my partner had already finished his commute, but I was thinking about a lot of the folks who were on the road. And I think for me, that's where it's the scariest is how do you find shelter in that sort of situation? I had a friend who was like, I found a defunct car wash and I went under there. And I know people were, getting into the bank underpass, those sort of things.
Yeah. My wife had a friend who was, I think, coming home and the hail started coming down and she was like, should I just try and like pull off the road and hunker down and wait it out? And then she was like, no, I got to get home. This is way too scary.
I also talked to a friend who has a newborn baby, and I thought, I wonder how they're faring in this. This is scary. People and their pets. There's a lot of noise, and they had actually just moved back from another state, and they said to me, I hope this isn't the new normal, because this is intense. And I saw the Wisconsin State Office of Climatology posted saying that this has been the most severe April on record. And we're only halfway through the month, that Wisconsin's already received more than a month's worth of severe weather. So I'm hoping for lighter weather moving forward because at the very least, the Memorial Union announced that this week they were supposed to bring back the terrace chairs and have a celebration today. And I do not want to see those flying away. I know they tie them down, but that just felt like, oy.
I'm picturing like the tornado from Wizard of Oz with like union chairs just flying around.
It'd be kind of pretty, you got to admit. Yeah.
Yeah, Twister the cow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
As an aside, I saw somebody on Reddit being like, why don't they have blue or purple chairs? And it's like, dude, we've picked an aesthetic and we're sticking to it. Okay.
Yeah. There is an aesthetic. Yes, there is an aesthetic, and it's been working.
Yeah.
Dane County Executive Melissa Agard also posted a pretty useful post on Instagram, just reminding folks to contact your insurance provider ASAP if you have damage to begin the repair process, which is really smart. Like, this is a time where folks can take advantage of the disaster and a lot of scams pop up. From that post, it said, quote, carefully evaluate any contractors before hiring, check with the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection, ask for references, and be cautious of anyone going door to door offering quick fixes. So crews are out there working hard. We're sending care to everyone who's cleaning up this week. And my goodness, it seems like we're in the clear for now. But I think we're going to go ahead and put that emergency preparedness episode in our show notes for folks to go back if you didn't listen. We did bring it back a little bit ago so you guys could be prepared. But yeah, there's nothing like what we experienced. It could have been worse for our area, but we got hit hard. We talked about storms ripping up infrastructure and trees and the like. On the topic of upheaval, another major player, the UW athletic director, is leaving his post. Before we get into that news, we're going to take a quick break. Two sisters, two suitors, and a drunken wager about the nature of fidelity. What could possibly go wrong? Madison Opera presents Mozart's Così fan tutte, a delightful romantic comedy full of love, laughter, and true humanity. The opera tells a timeless tale of young people in love doing foolish things as various schemes are put into action. Flirtations in the moonlight ensue, and emotions end in a tangle revealing it all. Projected English translations will make sure you don't miss a word of this witty and wise story. And Mozart's dazzling score will fill Overture Hall with sublime arias and sparkling ensembles. You only have 2 chances to see Così fan tutte, so join Madison Opera on Friday, April 24th at 7:30 p.m. or Sunday, April 26th at 2:30 p.m. Tickets start at under $25, so get yours today at madisonopera.org. Hey, it's Bianca, host of CityCast Madison. I want to tell you about something we just added for CityCast Madison neighbors that I'm genuinely excited about. Every Friday after the regular episode wraps, neighbors get access to an exclusive bonus segment and a special members-only ad-free feed. And I'm not talking about filler content. I'm talking about the stuff we actually want to say and talk about, but doesn't always fit in our regular show. Bizarre headlines, wild posts from the Madison subreddit, mysterious happenings around town. We get loose and personal with these bonus stories as if we're just chatting with a neighbor. This is for the listeners who really want to dig deeper into the city with me and the rest of the CityCast Madison team. If that's you, become a CityCast Madison neighbor. You'll get the Friday bonus segment plus ad-free listening, invites to members-only events, a weekly preview of the best things happening around the city, and more. It's only $10 a month or $100 a year, and it goes directly to supporting the show and the team of locals who make it happen every day. Read more and become a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm/Madison. That's membership.citycast.fm/Madison. And neighbors, look out for that bonus content. All right, upheaval at UW. More changes. Rob, what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is the UW-Madison, which the chancellor is leaving next month. So there's a lot of change going on right now. There was a big personnel shakeup in the UW athletics department this week, although it was maybe not the shakeup that some Badgers football fans were wanting. Football coach Luke Fickell is staying put, but the man who hired Fickell, athletic director Chris McIntosh, announced Sunday night that he was leaving. And it was a big shock for the UW-Madison sports community, especially since McIntosh announced that he would be leaving for a position that didn't even exist beforehand. He's taking a senior position with the Big Ten Conference as the new Deputy Commissioner of Strategy. So did you guys have a reaction to this news? It was very kind of out of nowhere Sunday night that this was happening.
It's giving very the Tower tarot card, which is upheaval and breaking down because, like you said, the Chancellor, Jennifer Mnuchin, is leaving. Also, Jay Rothman, the president of the whole system, was recently fired. So this is a major position to also be, becoming vacant. And all those three work together. So the president, the chancellor have a part in hiring the UW athletic director, as well as the board of regents. So I just feel like the story around UW is just thickening.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rob, who's going to lead the UW athletics department now?
Well, fortunately, the UW did have a plan in place. Marcus Sedberry has been named interim athletic director. Since 2022, Sedberry has served as UW's deputy athletic director and chief operating officer. And last year, he became general manager of Wisconsin athletics. So, it's a role he can move into very easily. He was in place. So who is Chris McIntosh? Well, he has deep ties to the UW. He was an All-American tackle on the football team in the 90s. He was hired in 2021, and he had big shoes to fill because he was replacing the legendary athletic director, Barry Alvarez. And he got right to work making big changes to the program. The year after he was hired in 2022, he fired head football coach Paul Chryst and replaced him with Fickell in the hopes of keeping Wisconsin an A-level team. Now, if you're a football fan, you know that gamble has not really paid off on the football field, and there's been a lot of scrutiny on both Fickell and McIntosh. Last season, the Badgers had a 4-8 record, only 2-7 in the Big Ten Conference, and that was a really big disappointment for UW fans. Overall, Fickell's record was 17-21, and I remember all last season people were talking about whether Fickell would be fired, whether he would make it to the end of the season, but McIntosh stayed by him and doubled down on his support. But now McIntosh is gone, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on Fickell and his team this fall. As the new interim athletic director, Sedberry is inheriting a team that's delivering right now its worst performance since the early 90s. And as I said, Fickell's lost his main supporter in McIntosh. And the UW athletics department is already feeling the results. There's a lot riding on this season. I just read the athletic department is already budgeting to get $2 million less in football ticket revenue this fall than last year.
I love an underdog, though. So maybe this is time where I get all in. Badger football, here I come. I'm your next number one fan.
I like it. Okay. Yeah. This. Well, there's a school of thought that this is the thing that kicks them into gear and okay, now we've got to make this count.
Prove them wrong. Yeah.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. So why did McIntosh leave? Some sports writers are pointing to that pressure and suggesting that it was the disappointing football team under his tenure, and that if they had another bad season in 2026, he might get canned. But others say it could be as simple as it's a better job. Like being athletic director, it's a high stakes, high pressure job. And this new Big Ten Conference job means more money and less stress. Again, I should mention that although we talk a lot about football in Madison, it's only one sport that the UW athletic director oversees, and McIntosh has certainly had success in other areas, most notably the men's hockey team. He hired Coach Mike Hastings, and the men's hockey team went to its first NCAA championship game since 2010 this year, and is currently ranked number 2. So they're a powerhouse again. So there's a lot of change. We talked about the change at UW. The Milwaukee Bucks just announced that Doc Rivers isn't coming back as their coach. Was not really a surprise given how that season went. We'll see what happens. Like I said, is this going to renew interest? Do you think people will get behind the team now that there's some big changes afoot at the UW?
I don't know about that.
Trying to be optimistic.
Yeah. It wasn't, I think it was Barry Alvarez who, when people were cheering against Luke Fickell, was just like, this is really disrespectful. And if anything, you should be solid and behind your team, Right. And even when things aren't looking that great, you really should be backing your team. But I hope whoever they get in there is somebody who has a track record of success. I listened to the Locked On Badgers podcast with host Ryan Herrings, and he had thoughts about who should be the next athletic director. don't hire somebody who's cutting their teeth. Like, this is a position that has a lot of folks in athletic systems beneath it that should be excited, and we should get like a true champion to come in and keep this winning record. So, I mean, I think UW has a lot to be proud of, and we have a lot to thank this man for, and can't knock him. Can't knock him. And also, this is a great opportunity. This is a great job. This is a big job. And so putting all of the good energies out that we get somebody that's like really ready to take it on and take it to the next level.
Yeah.
That's my sports talk. Take it on and take it to the next level. All right. In terms of taking it to the next level, there are possible changes at Olbrich that might take its gardens to the next level. But there's some controversy around it as well. We're going to get into that story in a moment. But first, let's take a quick break. All right, it's time for our weekly segment, Banking Outside the Box with Oak Bank, with the sponsor of this episode, Oak Bank. It's your opportunity to get your banking and financial questions answered by an expert.
Hello, my name is Ty Beck, and I'm Vice President of Business Banking at Oak Bank. And this week's question is, what do you think is the most important part of the client-banker relationship? For me, it's an easy answer. It's trust. Because really, you're not just choosing a bank, you're choosing a partner. Trust is essential. It affects how fast decisions get made, how flexible relationships become, and how resilient businesses can operate under stress. When you're in a high-trust environment, decisions tend to be made and executed faster. Loan requests require fewer safeguards, and perhaps most importantly, mistakes are fixable. When you're in a low-trust environment, things tend to slow down. Costs can increase, and people tend to protect themselves instead of working together to solve problems. Trust does not appear on a balance sheet. However, it can show up economically in three rather significant ways: through speed, flexibility, and long-term value. Trust has always been an important component of the banker-client relationship. However, trust matters now more than ever. We are operating in an environment of constant change, from technology and workforce shifts to succession transitions, all while in uncertain economic cycles. When everything is in a state of change, people do not look for perfection. They look for someone who they can trust and exercise sound judgment. Trust is a form of capital, and it compounds. So the real question is not whether trust matters, it is where are you intentionally investing in it. If trust matters to you, reach out to us at Oak Bank.
Huge thanks to Oak Bank for sponsoring this segment. If you've got a banking or financial question, hit the link in the show notes. You might even hear it answered in an upcoming episode. Talking about taking it to the next level, Jade, what is Olbrich trying to do?
Yeah, so my story this week was spurred by an Isthmus piece by Ella Hanley about neighborhood pushback to this proposed change at Olbrich. Now, Ella Hanley, she's on the beat of this story with Olbrich, so make sure to go check out her work. But basically, the Olbrich Botanical Garden is in the middle of a planning process to guide the future renovations for the next 20 years. Now, the garden needs to address an increase in visitors annually and update some of its aging infrastructure. And they haven't had an update in 25 years, so it is certainly due. And just to put that growth in a little bit of context, in those 25 years, the audience for Olbrich Gardens has grown from 240,000 guests a year to 370,000 guests a year, which, doing my little back of the napkin math, tells me that's about a 50% growth. So like true growth in the last 25 years. And before I go on to tell you about what is happening with the expansions, I want to know about your guys' experience with the Olbrich Botanical Gardens. Bianca, I know this is a spot for you.
Yeah, I go to Gleam every year. So when they put out the light sculptures, I like to walk through there at night and get the enchanting vibes and socializing that can be had there. I, in general, like having this amenity nearby where I can go and be a flinner and walk and think and philosophize and look at the beautiful Thai pavilion.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a real special place to the city. And my relationship also is I don't go as often because it seems like it's always full every time I pass. So I can attest just from lived experience that it seems like it's getting more and more popular, and that's fantastic. I guess that's my relationship to it.
What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I've ever been in that parking lot that is not at least 3/4 full. But maybe I'm going to like the sort of high traffic events like the Bloom Butterflies in the summer. The Bowles Conservatory in the dead of winter is a great place to go to get away from the cold and trick yourself into thinking you're like in a tropical paradise for 45 minutes. Yeah, and a couple of summers I volunteered at the young writers camp that they've had there, which is really fun. It's a great spot to do that, and kids write about, the flora that they see. So yeah, I mean, it's just such an indispensable part of the community.
Before we talk about the renovations here, I want to make sure that we know what we're talking about when we talk about the gardens versus the park. So Olbrich Botanical Gardens is the garden, right? We were just talking about it. It's located on Atwood Avenue on Madison's east side, and it's only open during select hours, and the outdoor area is free admission, with the conservatory having a slight entry fee. The garden is sort of surrounded by Olbrich Park. I think when people think about Olbrich Park, they most often think about the part of the park that's between Atwood and Lake Monona. So that part of Olbrich Park has a nature playground, it has the Olbrich beer gardens, it has a boat launch, it has basketball courts and tennis courts, it has a beach and like lots of big fields. This is not what we're talking about. So you can just cross all of that out of your mind. That's staying the same.
Your beer gardens are safe.
Your beer gardens are safe. Yes, yes. But the part of Olbrich that we're talking about is on the same side of Atwood as Olbrich Gardens. It has softball fields, a playground, a boat launch, and in the winter there's an ice rink.
Big lights to the right. Not right on the lake, but on the other side, near the gardens.
Yeah, when there's softball games, that whole area is all lit up at night. Yeah, totally. You know where I'm talking about. Okay, so Olbrich Park is part of the city's park division, and Olbrich Botanical Gardens is operated through a partnership between the City of Madison's park division and the nonprofit Botanical Society. Now, back in 2009, the city and Olbrich reached an agreement on the Olbrich parkland that can be used for further expansion of the Olbrich Gardens. And what's been going on recently is that the Olbrich Gardens have been going through some development planning for about the last 9 months. Like I said earlier, they want to address the aging infrastructure and parking issues, as well as expand, be able to accommodate more guests. There have been 2 public engagement opportunities so far, one in January and one in March, where they presented 2 proposed scenarios about what those plans could look like. And there's a third upcoming on May 20th, which I'll explain a little bit more about in a minute. And then there's an online survey for folks to react to these proposed scenarios. So there's a group that raised concerns called Friends of Olbrich Park, and they met this week to discuss changes that Olbrich Gardens is suggesting and how it will impact their experience of the park. So the president of that group, Chaz Karch, he told Isthmus that while he's a big fan of the gardens, the proposal feels like they are taking away a lot of amenities in the neighborhood to make these expansions. So what amenities would be lost? In one of the scenarios, parking would be built that would remove the playground next to Olbrich, as well as the ice rink that is set up in the winter. And I think part of the sting, especially for Chaz, as he was telling Isthmus, is that this playground is like a traditional playground with that kind of plastic playground equipment. But there used to be another one on the other side of Atwood at that part of Olbrich Park that was torn out and replaced with a nature playground. So sort of stumps, and there's slides sort of in the base of the hill. But it was a big shock to him personally when they removed the playground. He said he found out about it because he took his kid to the playground and the playground was ripped out.
Harsh.
Yeah, dude, that's my dude.
So alongside the playground getting removed, the ice rink that is set up over the winter would also be removed. So that's in one of the 2 scenarios. But in both scenarios, the boat launch would be removed, as well as 2 of the 4 softball diamonds that are right there. Bianca, you were calling out the big lights. There'd only be 2 softball diamonds remaining. All right, Bianca, Rob, you're sticking with me really well. But do you have any questions about the plans and the concerns from the neighbors?
So I'll just say this is generally one of my neighborhood spots. I consider myself a part of many neighborhoods, but this is definitely one of them. And my first thought was I see families playing on that playground all the time and a diversity of families. And it makes my heart happy to see that there. And also where you don't have to cross the street, the crazy street. My second thought is, yeah, my boyfriend plays at those fields, the softball fields, and I've spent many nights over there thinking how lovely it is that you can have all of this recreation in one space. And I, though, when we were talking about hail the size of baseballs, I have seen, because they've got sluggers on that team, baseballs hit cars. Here's my third thought. Cars aren't everything. And as we talk about this city and how it expands, this is a literal where the rubber meets the road situation, which is, yes, we're growing and expanding, but what about the livability of the neighborhoods, the walkability, and is everything, do they really need a full area for another just like sitting park when across the street is like, I don't know, how, at least a 2 blocks. I don't know how many blocks that is. There's a lot of space for that across the street. So yeah, the recreation areas and the loss of those feels big. It feels big. And I'm not one to talk against a garden, but as it grows and encroaches over, I hate to see more parking lot. I hate to see more parking lot. What do we do?
I'm curious to see what get rid of that boat launch would do because people love to use the lakes, obviously, and there would still be one in the other part of the park, right? But obviously, if there's only one boat launch, that's going to be a lot of in and out traffic.
That's a good point, Rob. So the everything you said, Bianca, is so on point with how I feel. And the thing that's really kinking this for me is that we're talking about public and public, right? These are two things that are both accessible by the neighborhood, right? Like the softball fields are accessible by the neighborhood, but then Olbrich is totally accessible. It's free, right, to go in. And that's, it's a huge, I think, public resource for us. But also it's closed, right? Like it closes its doors, it closes its gates. And so there is, you're sort of like limiting the ability. And I think people who spoke to the Isthmus mentioned like walking their dogs in that area, taking their kids to that playground. And so how does Olbrich Gardens sort of supplement what is lost by the amenities that are being removed at Olbrich Park to reach their goals? Anyway, the Olbrich Garden will be holding another public meeting in May. That's May 20th. There'll be a presentation of the final comprehensive plan, and they'll be having 2 sessions at Olbrich Gardens on that day, one at 12 and one at 6 p.m.
It'll be fascinating to watch. It is a huge neighborhood spot. And while we're talking about neighborhoods, let's shift to our neighborhood, the CityCast Madison neighborhood. We've got shout outs. Rob, who's our first shout out?
Yeah, Brino is shouting out the Youth Press Corps, a summer workshop from the Greater Madison Writing Project and the Cap Times, open to middle and high school youth journalists. I have to say, as someone who worked at the Cap Times, I remember when those student journalists would come in, and it was such an inspiring shot in the arm to see all these kids like really into reporting and taking it seriously. So high praise for that program.
Yes, I actually got to go last year. Aaron McRoarty invited me, and yeah, the kids, they're our future.
Susan P. says, get your groove on at Party for Pergolders on April 25th at the Elks Lodge with the VO5 band. All proceeds support East High clubs and teams. So yeah, go Pergolders.
That's some Madison love right there. And hey, I want to thank our new members. We have new neighbors, as we've shared. We've got Kisa I in the building, Susan P., Nick K., and Angie M. Thank you guys so much for joining our neighborhood.
Yeah, I was obviously we We talked about my mom. Shout out to my mom. But shout out to all of you, Susan P., Nick K., Angie M. I'm so happy to have you in the neighborhood.
Yeah, the way the neighborhood is growing and the impact of our work is incredible. And this week, it really struck me how enthusiastic our community is to engage with our city and our content, connecting y'all to the city. Even our families and friends are on the team, it feels like. Rob, your partner shared a joke for a headline this week.
Which I was not allowed to use, and probably that was the right call. Good joke, though.
We struck it down. Great joke.
Sorry,
Jade.
Betta.
That's for the neighbors only. We'll tell the neighbors only what the joke was.
Yes. And Jade, your partner literally jumped in to help read comments for our neighborhood bars segment. Like, the dedication is so there, but more so the fun. The work that we're doing here is fun and connective, and people want to be a part of it. And beyond our immediate spheres, how involved everyone is, our listeners, our readers, and our social following. You really showed up for this week's Neighborhood Bars episode, where we asked you, like, which spots, which local watering holes are important to you and are the gravity of your neighborhood. And we are still getting input for that show. So yeah, what we're building here is really something special.
Every time we get a new neighbor, it feels so heartening just to know that there are people out there listening and who say, I'm going to put my $10 a month behind you guys. It's one of the best feelings.
All right, that's today's episode. But if you're a CityCast Madison neighbor, stick around because we're getting into the terrible news at UW-Madison about a workplace relationship turned toxic. Make sure you're listening in your members-only ad-free feed. And if you're not a neighbor, sign up right now during our spring membership campaign to get the hot takes in your special members-only ad-free feed. Join at the link in our show notes or by visiting membership.citycast.fm/Madison. Again, only $10 a month or $100 a year. Go to membership.citycast.fm/Madison. Thanks for rounding up the news with me this week, Jade Isiri Ramos and your mom.
Representing the Isiri household, happy to be here.
House Isiri and Rob Thomas, thanks so much.
I appreciate you guys as coworkers even more.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm your host, Bianca Martin. We're produced by Jade Isiri Ramos with help this week from Lizzie Goldsmith and Sonia Cho Swanson. Haley Sperling is our executive producer. Our theme music is by Carl Christensen. Additional music by Toko Name, Speedometer, Matthew B. Selba, and Gadina from Triple Scoop Music via Getty Images. Plus, the Madison Opera. Rob Thomas is our newsletter editor with help from Natalia Aldana. You can get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to CityCast Madison's newsletter. And hey, don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this episode with someone who weathered the storm? All right, see you back here Monday morning with more news from around the city. Until then, thanks for listening and have a great, safe weekend.